Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Falcons vs. Saints Week 4 post-game show. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, joined by my co-host. He is Alan Strk, at the very easy to remember, Alan Strk on Twitter. Alan, welcome back. How are you doing on this fine Sunday where some stuff happened? So
Younghoe Koo, what can you say? Just put him in the Ring of Honor tonight.
Yeah.
There's no other discussion. I know Matt Ryan's gonna have his time Thursday night. Absolutely, Matt Ryan will get his time. But Younghoe Koo, what more can you say? Apparently was on a decline this offseason. God forbid things just don't quite work out in preseason. But look, we're not taking no pay shots here. The Falcons beat the Saints. Definitely a roller coaster ride. What can you expect? Definitely a lot of frustration, which we'll get into. But overall, I thought the better roster, the better team won, and that's kind of what matters in the day. The Falcons' star power kind of shown through, even though we're going to talk about some very problematic final drive execution and play calling as well. This team is so good at screens, but sometimes the screens just come at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
And that will be one of one of the main talking points when it comes to Zack Robinson, I'm sure. In this episode.
I think it's because I think people get on and we'll get into this more about screens being like the devil. There's nothing inherently wrong with a screen pass. Okay, we've seen many offenses have successful screens and make that a core part of their offense, and it can work. But it just feels like the feel for when to call these screen passes is not there for Zack Robinson at this stage. So that seems to be the problematic part of that. But yeah, we got a lot to get to. Obviously, the Falcons do defeat the Saints in week 4. The rest of it, doesn't really matter in the standings, but we're going to talk about it because that's what we're here for. We're going to talk about the offense offense disappointing. No doubt about it. The defense giving up some plays, but then working their way back, stabilizing, and ultimately putting this team in position again with a chance to win this game. And special teams, really, I think, was the hero today. We'll get to Younghoe Koo as well. But before we do, guys, I want to bring you real quick word from our sponsor, BetOnline, folks. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all things football. BetOnline's got every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. And in this game, if you had bet on the Falcons, you'd be making some money because I believe the highest the spread got was 2.5. So if you bet on the Falcons spread, I believe you cash with this 3-point win. So, or wait, no, it's only 2. So no, never mind. You get screwed, So that's why you always bet money line, right? Don't listen to anything I say. Don't listen to anything I say.
10 seconds.
Yeah, no, don't listen to anything I say. This is not, financial advice. But if you think you know your stuff, BetOnline does have a $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of over $200,000. And when the game's over, you can head on over to BetOnline's new online casino. They got blackjack, poker, over 150 different types of slots games. So what are you waiting for, folks? Head to that website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right. Well, we should probably start off with the heroics because just fantastic stuff by Younghoe Koo, getting that 58-yard field goal, a career-long and a critical moment because the Falcons basically did everything they could to screw Koo over on that drive, except for drawing the DPI. After that, they literally did nothing to help Koo. They were I guess they were well, we feel like he's got it from 58 because we're not even going to attempt to get a couple easy yards here. I mean, this is not to take away from Koo. Let's give Koo his flowers, then I'll get on to that drive and the offense as a whole. But Koo, looks totally unfazed. He's nope. We got it. All good. Goes out there, nails it. Falcons come away with a 26-24 victory. Like you said in the pregame, as you said, let's just go ahead and pencil Koo in for that Ring of Honor acceptance speech right after Matt Ryan.
He's been doing this for 5 years at this point. He's had so many game-winning kicks. Even that just forgettable 2021 season, it wins against Miami and New Orleans, and there's other ones over the years, but he just consistently does it. And what more can you say? Not many kickers have his longevity. We're seeing now Justin Tucker looks to be on a steep decline. He can't hit 45-yard field goals. So it's rare for a team to have that much stability at a position that is known for its instability. Or instability, I should say. So major kudos to him. And he had 4 field goals in this game. And he's been just rock solid at a position like we've talked about. There's so many teams out there year in and year out kind of searching. They're like, we need some sort of solution. You see veterans out there getting like 5, 6 different jobs, and they're consistently mediocre. Koo had he was cursed in the Chargers. The Chargers are always cursed when it comes to kickers. He just had to get out of there. And let's not forget, he had to replace the shoes of another legend. Replacing the shoes of Matt Bryant is very difficult, and I think we could say wholeheartedly he has replaced Matt Bryant proudly. Like, the Falcons have had back-to-back legendary kickers, and you just have to be grateful for it because it's a position that is very unstable.
It is. You look around the NFL, teams are dealing with it. It's one thing that I think, Thomas Dimitroff, we gave a lot of credit to him for finding punters and kickers. We never really had issues. We had Bosher and Matt Bryant for really long stretches there. And Fontenot too. We got Pinion entrenched here now. We got Younghoe Koo entrenched here now. We don't really have to worry about the kicking game at all. And that is something, to his credit, Fontenot does great in free agency, and that extends to special teams. So
Pinion's got guys trying to return punts on their own 5-yard line. Man. That's his impact. He's scaring them.
That was really something. I can't believe that that Shaheed was trying to catch that ball. Like, that was obviously a gigantic mistake.
You got to admire Rashid Shaheed because he makes highlight reel plays. He gives us entertainment. Regardless how you feel about the Saints, Rashid Shaheed's probably one of the coolest players in the league for what he does. And he just decided to give the Falcons a gift today. Like, you have to admire the man. So
I appreciate it. Don't call me unappreciative, Rashid. I mean, Rashid's great. I have him in Dynasty. He's been one of my favorite. Like, if he wasn't on the Saints, I would like him a lot more. But, I still like him, off the field and when I'm not looking at the Falcons playing against him. But, I mean, such a unique player for them where before, last week, it was he went 0 of 5 on targets. He was people oh, all he can do is catch deep shots. This week, it was well, Rashid, we're going to need you to be also our outlet and other stuff. And he stepped up to the plate. So good for him. I believe he set a career high in catches this game, which is, something else we could talk about. But Adnan joins us as well. Adnan Ikic, how you doing, Adnan?
I mean, good that we won, but holy shit, I can't keep doing this, guys. This is not. I didn't even feel excitement after that win. I just felt this sort of relief.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, of course I felt excitement about beating the Saints, but oh my god, it was just this pile of dread building up inside me throughout that fourth quarter. And then, it getting reprieved a little bit on that pass interference call on Mooney. And then it building back up because Kirk Cousins decided to take 3 straight deep shots instead of, playing for the field positioning and to make the field goal closer, which was absolutely baffling to me. And then, of course, the dread just sort of releases out after Younghoe Koo. Man, balls of fucking steel on Younghoe Koo again. 58 yards. I did not think he would hit it personally because he's never hit more than 57. 57 was his career high. And I was like, man, the offense really betrayed Younghoe Koo on that play, but it didn't matter because, man, that was the biggest kick he's ever kicked so far in his life, so far in his career. Hopefully there's going to be some bigger ones, maybe in the postseason this year, but man, shout out to Younghoe Koo, man. Shout out to the defense. Shout out to Troy Anderson. Shout out to the special teams. But, bro, that offense was absolutely. We have to talk. Most of the show needs to be about the offense.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
We'll get to it.
I think the offense played better than numbers show, but we could get into it.
We'll get into it. I mean,
We'll talk about it, but my God, Zack Robinson right now has not been it for me. Some of his decision making on the plays in this game was just I found myself audibly yelling out, "What are you doing?" multiple times in this game. But in the end, a win's a win. That they come out of here with a victory against New Orleans. A victory which honestly may or may not have been deserved, but who gives a fuck? All that matters.
Take it.
All that matters is what your record is, and I cannot believe that this franchise in general came this close, one missed kick away from allowing the Saints to take the all-time lead in this head-to-head series. Like, honestly, I was thinking about that as much as I was thinking about the standings today, because that's just completely unacceptable. It's unacceptable that it even got to this point. I feel like it's sort of a betrayal of those Falcons teams in the past, of those Falcons legends in the past, of this franchise has let this happen. But, at the end of the day, you did just enough to win. Were you lucky? Hell yeah. You were lucky as hell that Taysom Hill got hurt. You were lucky as hell that Tyrann Mathieu got hurt. You were lucky as hell that Rashid Shaheed had one of the most inexplicable fair catch attempts that I've ever seen in my life that he muffed. But at the end of the day, we've had so many games where this Falcons team was on the other end of that, right? Where they outplayed the opponent and it was some mistakes that they make that end up costing them. And then we're left, wondering all week what the hell happened. Like, why did that happen? So it's really nice. The Eagles game where the offense went downfield and won the game, and this Saints game are two games where this team has sort of flipped the script from what we've seen in years past. But man, this team is 2-2. I don't think I've ever felt worse about a Falcons team after a win against the Saints, because I'm kind of worried about it.
I was about to
you
say,
should be worried. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you would have said you never felt worse about a 2-2 Falcons team, I was like, the Falcons were 2-2 last year, and
way worse.
That team was really
pure fool's gold. Like, we saw that.
Yeah.
I'll take this team over last year's team any day. But man,
my God, that's exactly right.
Yeah, like I am incredibly worried going into that Thursday night game against Tampa. A Tampa team that just like stomped the Eagles for most of the afternoon too.
Yeah,
they have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith though. That's a huch piece of that offense.
Yeah,
and no Lane Johnson. Like, you were talking about 3 All-Pro caliber players there.
If you want to take it back, we beat them without AJ Brown too. So
we were. But they did have Devontae Smith and Lane Johnson.
Like, dude, Lane Johnson's best right tackle. And Todd Bowles has a history of destroying Jalen Hurts. So,
that's true.
But that team, that Bucs team,
they're good. They're
good. Not a pushover. No, definitely not.
I agree. No. It's a huge game, but I don't think that they should be fearful of the Bucs.
Yeah, it's a must-win game. Like, both of these games are. Like, there's no question about it. And like, that's why, like, this game, look, it was a must-win game. You're clearly not like firing in all cylinders. The offensive line, like, Ryan Newsel, like, in terms of his blocking, played well, I thought. Like, same thing with Storm Norton. Like, both guys I thought played well. They weren't as big of assets in the run game as the guys they were replacing, but like, it was just mistakes. Like, Ryan Newsel had 2 critical like snap infraction mistakes, like that killed 2 like drives.
Worst possible times of the game. 4th and short, which forces you to kick a field goal. You shout out to Younghoe Koo on the field goal there too. And then a 10-second runoff. And can we talk about the screen pass to start that drive?
Yeah, that was inexcusable. No, I'm not defending that. Why? Like, you have no timeouts left. Like, what are you doing? I understand.
Good.
First play on a game winning, like when you're putting together a potential game winning drive, you have to have a successful play on the first play. That's one of the common rules. But 5-yard screen, like, what? Like,
that doesn't count. That doesn't count. It doesn't work.
Out inbounds, snap infraction. Even if Newsel doesn't make the snap infraction, you sacrifice 20 seconds for 5 yards. Like, what do we do?
There's no defense for that.
I know that Zack Robinson seems to have a screen fetish, but what the hell are we doing, bro?
Screen fetish with the wrong people. Like, to me, like, we can get the screens. Like, why isn't it BJ Robinson? Why is it Drake London? Like, these guys to me are the best players after the catch. I think Ray Allen McLeod's dangerous after the catch, but
that's a play for Rondale.
The timing
Moore,
could have been worse.
What it is. Like, they wanted Rondale Moore for those, and they don't have him, and they just don't take it out of the playbook. Like,
poor Ray McLeod's so productive too. It's just like, why are you putting him in this position?
He doesn't need. You don't need to manufacture touches for him. Like, look, Ray McLeod has been more than we could have asked for as wide receiver 3. Like, perfectly good, capable wide receiver 3 is not hurting this offense in the slightest. A lot of people thought that would be a big problem. It's not at all. You don't draw up plays for Ray McLeod. Like, you don't run screens like this to him. And like,
in critical situations.
In critical situations. And it's like, you don't need, this isn't like a crusade against screens. Like, it's popular right now to hate on the screen game. I don't hate screens because of screens. I hate it because they're ineffective. Teams have figured it out. They telegraph their screens really badly. Like, every time the defense knows the screen is coming. And if you can't execute, like they don't execute them well. Like they just don't. So like if you can't execute the screen, if you can't disguise it, you can't run it. Like the whole point of the screen is that they don't know it's coming, so they can't just charge it off the snap. If they charge that screen, it's a loss. Like the screen's only a low risk play if you can disguise it, and they can't. And I think that's like let me lay out my whole Zack Robinson thing.
Okay. Yeah,
let's just I think Zack Robinson's a smart offensive coordinator. I think he has some really good play calls up his sleeve. I think he's shown some good things. I think that there's a lot of reason to have hope for him, but I do not think he has play calling down yet. I think that he doesn't know how to string drives together. His like play calling sequencing is not effective right now. He can't string together drives like that. The third, they were better on third down today, but that's why the Falcons are getting crushed in time of possession, because they do not sustain drives. They just don't. And that's all about the flow of the game and learning your opponent's tendencies and all these things. Advanced stuff for an offensive coordinator. This is stuff that it takes a long time to learn. He doesn't have it. He has no feel for stringing together plays right now. I think that like the overall after game one, which was just clearly an aberration, like we never have seen that offense again since then. Like that was just a bizarre first game that we saw from this offense. I think they've had good like plans for what to do. Like I think in this game, knowing the Saints are going to sell out to stop the run, like starting off by throwing the ball was not a bad idea. And I think that it was effective at times, but like once the Saints like started losing multiple linebackers and like their safety and all this, they like it took them like the entire game to start running the ball again. It's like the ideas I think that we've seen from Zack Robinson are not bad. Like I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's a guy that could be a very effective, smart offensive coordinator. I think he's not there yet. Like he needs to learn how to play call, not just draw up an offense, because I don't think any like take that last drive, right? That the drive before it was absolutely indefensible, first of all. But like this last drive, you get the miracle DPI. Like, and so we'll just throw out that terrible screen pass. We already talked about it. Why you would ever call a screen to open a game-winning drive with less than a minute? There's there's absolutely no. That's indefensible. There's no reason to ever call that play. It shouldn't be in the playbook. Mm-hmm. It should be a hot route at most, right? Like in case you get blitz pressure or something unexpected, you need a hot route, but that's it. You never call a screen there, ever. I don't know any offensive coordinator that would call something that stupid. That was a huge mistake. Again, situational football, he's not getting it. So then you get the miracle DPI. Mooney was definitely interfered with, no doubt about that. So
can we just about how only the underthrows? Like we always complain about how underthrows could lead to DPIs. That was just a classic case. Like, oh man. But to be fair, Cousins did target that mismatch. Mooney was beating a Debo all game.
Yeah. And he hit it before in the game.
Let's give Mooney credit. He burned Alontae Taylor on that play. Like
Mooney played great.
He made the biggest play on offense. And then the next play, he had the touchdown too. He burned him again, and there was another underthrow. It should have been a touchdown.
He still can't drive it all the way. It's pretty clear that Kirk still can't drive it all the way, but he's getting better. Like I think more of the field is open, more of the field is available. They're able to push it a little bit more every week, so hopefully that'll continue getting better. And thank you guys all for the donations. We really appreciate that. We will get to those. We're just gonna, trust me, we'll get to them. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Did you want to say? Go ahead.
I want to add about Zack Robinson specifically. It's the situational awareness, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't just a screen pass either. Remember earlier, a few drives earlier, where Tyler Algier had that catch in the flat, or I don't think it was a screen pass, but he had that short catch. He turns it into a first down by bulldozing over 3 Saints players. One of them gets hurt, and then from there, Tyler Algier was a wrecking ball. Like they could not stop him over the next 2 or 3 runs. And it reminded me of the Falcons with Taysom Hill, right? Like the Falcons just cannot stop Taysom Hill for whatever reason. And Tyler Algier was just cooking them. And I was thinking to myself, okay, this is good. Like, run it until they prove they can stop it. Like, keep running this. That's something which I always admired about Kyle Shanahan when he was here, and obviously with San Francisco. If he can tell that what he's doing is working, a specific play is working, he will spam the shit out of it until the defense proves that they can stop it. And what does Zack Robinson do? He bails them out. he stops going to the run. He dials up a deep shot throw for whatever reason. The Falcons end that drive with a field goal. And it just felt like such a missed opportunity where Algier is the hot hand, and they are proving that they want no part of him running downfield with them. Like the Saints defenders looked like they were just not like alligator arming him, but like they could not stop him. And then you sort of bail them out. Like, I don't mind going back to the throw, but only after they stop him once.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like,
Kevin, did you get the play-by-play from that drive? Because I could have sworn they went back to Algier a couple of times, and he gained like 8 to 10 yards.
Oh yeah, like it's like
I remember Algier making some plays after that. I don't think they totally went away from Algier.
That particular drive. There were two drives. Yeah, there
drive.
were two.
I'm talking about the singular drive where I think it was on 2nd and 6. They ended up going to the pass play, or excuse me, 2nd and 4, where.
Because there was definitely a time
I know what you're talking about.
Up a couple of carries.
So that the first drive that Adnan's talking about was like, I think Algier had like 2 10-plus runs in a row, and then they got a small carry, and then Algier came off for a break, and then they just threw it like the rest of the drive. Like they threw it, I believe, on 2nd and 3rd and went 3 and out. Like,
so on that play, Algier got a 13-yard catch where Alontae Taylor was hurt. He obviously came back later. He had a 12-yard rush, then a 6-yard rush, and the Falcons got to the 22. And then from there, a deep shot to Mooney was dialed up. And then on 3rd and short, they dial up a screen pass to Mooney, which loses 4 yards.
That was the one,
Yeah. And so it's just like the screen pass was the biggest problem with that drive, because 2nd and 4 is a shot play. Like I don't mind taking a shot there, especially like when you know they're going to be sucked up by the play action. Like, and that's the thing with Robinson. Like, this isn't like Arthur Smith where it's just like every 2nd and 10 he just runs and you're like, well, there's no getting through to this man. He's clearly committed to doing that. It's wrong, and he's just going to keep doing it. Like with Robinson, and I do want to give him credit for this, it's like I think he's doing smart football things at the wrong times. Like and this is, I think, the part that's frustrating, is because like 2nd and 4 after you just had a bunch of big runs, that's a shot play, right? That is a time where an offense coordinator is going to consider running a shot play, because you know they're going to bite on the play action, and this is an opportunity. It's short yardage. You feel confident in your ability to pick up 3rd and 4 on the ground. You're not too worried if you get an incompletion on 2nd down. But like they call the damn Mooney screen and lose yardage. So it's like why? That's not a screen play. Yeah.
Would you consider a back shoulder throw a shot play? Because I could have sworn that Mooney incompletion was a back shoulder throw. Because I remember Raymond McLeod was open on a drag route, but I remember I think it was a back shoulder throw of Mooney, and they just missed on it. I don't know. Do you consider a back shoulder throw a shot play?
I mean, was that to Adnan? Sorry.
Both of you. Yeah, I'm curious. Both of you guys.
I mean, it depends on how deep it is, but I mean,
it all depends on the depth. It all depends on the depth, because if it's one of those 3 to 4 yard back shoulder plays, then it's like okay,
I think it was like 15 yards.
Yeah,
20 yards. It was definitely intermediate vertical.
20-yard play downfield. I think any 20-yard play downfield.
Intermediate. Like if you're going further than 10 yards, I think that counts. Like you don't need your shot plays to all be like 70-yard bomb type plays. Like you can go intermediate to long, but it's like that's a situation where you want to throw a pass if you can, because you think you're going to get a favorable look. And like I think part of the reason he goes away from the run is because he checks the box count, he checks the personnel, and it's like, okay, the numbers are favorable for this to be a pass play. But like you can't just look, like anyone that's played, detailed football analytics games or anything like that, you can't just follow what the formation or the personnel tell you, right? It's like you look at the readout and it's like, okay, they're stacking the box, like I have to pass, but like you can't just play into that all the time. Like you need to take into account game flow and what's been happening, and like also the personnel that the Saints have out there. You want the Saints to be in their base package with as many linebackers out there as possible, because their top 2 linebackers, or their 2 of their top 3 linebackers, are out of the game, and their best safety's out of the game. So like I don't care if they have 4 UDFA linebackers on the field, you run the ball against them because they can't tackle. And we saw that over and over again, they would go away from it. But it's like I think he's making decisions based on football knowledge when you should be making decisions based on the game flow and the way things are happening. And I think that's his biggest weakness right now. Is he's very green as an OC. He's a brand new play call. This is his 4th game ever calling plays outside of the preseason, which the preseason's a joke. You got to get a feel for these things. You have to learn play sequencing and all this stuff. Like, so that's my point of hope with Zack Robinson, is that these are things that you can develop over time. And I think the overall structure of the offense, outside of just over reliance on screenplays, like, guys are getting open. Like, I like the route concepts in this offense a lot. I think we've seen positive returns. We've seen guys getting open. Now, I don't think Kirk is seeing the entire field yet. The whole offense, just the execution is lacking. And I like when guys are getting open, Kirk misses them, doesn't see them, whatever. We had the interception when the guy fell down that Kirk didn't see. That's just a timing route. But, like, I still need you to, like, look and make sure the receiver's breaking. Like, I don't need the receiver to be, like, standing there with his hands, with, like, looking at you, waiting for the ball. But, like, on that, you should still, like, look and make sure the receiver's breaking before you throw that ball. But that's just
especially when the pass protection's there.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, I've been most disappointed, I think, with the Falcons, like, not taking advantage of the pass pro, because I feel like Kirk has time, and in those situations, a lot of times it's just like, they just they don't get anything out of it. They just, like, dump it off.
Good, like, pass protection. I don't think, was Kirk Cousins sacked? Like, I think they gave up 1 sack today. It was a Peyton Turner, like, play. I think. Field goal, right?
We're talking about Jake Matthews single-handedly ruining a drive, which I could get to.
Yeah, like that holding penalty was weak as shit. Yeah,
it was weak, but I feel like we need to talk about the penalties in general. Like, it wasn't just that one. This was such an undisciplined game of football. Like, how many times did a flag completely derail a drive in this game? Matthew Bergeron derailed 2 drives by himself. Jake Matthews, okay, that was a ticky-tack holding penalty.
That was a ridiculous penalty, given what they were allowing in this game. It took off
a Bijan touchdown, which was ironically the one screen pass which did work all day.
That was executed well.
But the issue for me on that play was right after the holding, Jake Matthews absolutely gets beat by Chase Young, and the Falcons end up, in a 3rd down and what, 35?
Infinity, yeah.
It was 3rd and infinity, and here's my other thing, like with Kirk Cousins, and we ended up seeing it later on. This doesn't have to do with the holding or the penalty conversation, but we saw it on the last drive as well. It's 3rd and 35. You're on the 40. It may or may not be Younghoe Koo's range. Why are you taking a 20-yard shot down the sideline? Like, I get it. The pass was caught by Drake London, and it ended up being an easier field goal for Younghoe Koo. But that's just situational awareness. Like, I feel like that was too high of a risk and not enough of a reward for Kirk Cousins to make that deep shot pass to Drake London right down the sideline, which went for like 20 yards. I would have much rather seen a 5 to 6 yard play over the middle of the field there.
Hold on, you're really going to be critical of that throw? That was an excellent throw.
No, it was a great throw. I'm not criticizing the throw. I'm criticizing the decision-making for that throw. I'm criticizing going deep on 3rd and 35 when you're at the other team's 40.
Yeah,
I think he saw the coverage was kind of soft, if anything, maybe because the Saints were playing prevent.
No. I think I understand what both you guys are saying, and I have a take too. Like, I think, again, this is a situation where this is exactly what I'm trying to say with Zack Robinson. Like, the coverage is telling you go for this one-on-one. And, like, watching the play unfold, you should go for this one-on-one, right? Like, in a vacuum situation, that was the right call. That was the right play. Kirk needs to hit that throw because that is possibly a touchdown if he hits that throw on the money. He misses the throw. You get nothing out of it. Like, so that play in a vacuum, I think, is smart play call. Smart throw, Darnell Mooney beat his man. But in this situation, and that's your one-shot play. You missed it. Now you have to change your playbook. And the Saints give him the same exact look again, and they take it again and don't get it. And it's like, then they do it a 3rd time. That's where we're really having some problems.
Wait, we're talking about the foul drive now?
Wait, sorry.
We were talking about the London. We were talking about the 3rd 35 with Matthews.
No, I'm getting confused. Yeah.
I don't know where you were going with that.
No.
Yeah. It was from the New Orleans is 40, 3rd and 31, and it was a hell of a throw. It was a 16-yard pass play, but that's one of those deep shots where I'm like, like situationally, I don't like taking a deep shot there at all. Like I would rather see them scheme something shorter over the middle or to go shorter. Now, I'm not going to sit here and harp on it and be like, all
Yeah, I
right.
think you're being nitpicky, but that's just me.
But
I think it's a hell of a throw by Cousins.
But the thing is, we saw that later on. We saw it almost cost the team later on when the team on the very last drive where Kirk Cousins insisted on going deep over and over again when the Falcons were on the cusp of Younghoe Koo's field goal range, again, right on the 40. And, shout out to Younghoe Koo for hitting that. But it's the same conversation. He took 3 straight deep shots from the 40 instead of being more situational and trying to get 5 or 6 yards to make it an easier field goal.
Yeah, no, that was what I was talking about. I was jumping ahead of where you guys are, I think.
I think there's a huge difference between 3rd and 31 and
yeah, there is.
Like 3rd and 31, you have space to work with. I think Cousins saw the space between the corner and safety. I don't know what the coverage was, but there was no defender in sight with London there. He was pretty much easy to make that catch.
Yeah.
What happened the second, third time were pretty tight coverage. So
yeah.
I guess that's why I think it's drastically different.
But going back to the conversation about the flags, the Falcons had 76 yards of penalties in this game. And a lot of them were situationally like awful. Like the first half, especially, the flags were derailing the drives. The Saints ended up having a very penalty-filled second half as well. But I think the penalty yardage in the first half was like 50-5 or something ridiculous like that. Like the only flag, or 50-0. The only flag the Saints had in the first half was that Alontae Taylor pass interference, which ended up being picked up because Darnell Mooney got the catch. And now, granted, Alontae Taylor should have been called for a flag on a Drake London play on the first drive as well, but that one was missed. But still, like, you cannot let dumb penalties derail you like this. Like, Kirk Cousins is already limited. The offense, you already have issues with let's call it the inexperience of Zack Robinson. To Kevin's point, you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot here. Like, you have to make it as clean as possible on offense, because you already have plenty of stuff working against you with Cousins' recovery as well. And the offense just made mistake after mistake today. I just hated what I saw. Well, just when it came to the discipline of the football team today.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's like part of the reason why you can have hope for this team. And I'm not like overly upset with this game. Obviously, you win this. Like, this was a must-win game. I was not going to argue. Like, they come out of here with a win. I don't care how ugly it is. It's the Saints. You go out there, you find a way to win, because these matchups always come down to the wire. I don't care how bad the teams are. I don't care who's hurt. Like, these are knife fight type games every time, pretty much. And you're going to have to pull out all the stops to win. And it's going to be weird, and it's going to be hilarious sometimes. It's going to be painful sometimes. They found a way to do it. They did it. Great. But this is like, you bought yourself some breathing room with this win. That's great. We need Zack Robinson to start to get the situational stuff better, because that last drive, that's what I was talking about. I was a little bit confused when you guys were talking on that previous drive. The last drive of the game perfectly, I think, encapsulates Zack Robinson, right? Falcons have, it's not an easy situation. You got about a minute, but you're starting at the 30 and you have, time to go down the field and get a field goal. You feel pretty confident. Like, I felt, honestly, that the Saints should not have scored that touchdown that fast. I think they made a big mistake doing that. I think they should have stopped short of the goal line. I mean, obviously, it's risky for them. They can't really afford to do that, right? Because it'll be 4th down. But, like, them scoring that touchdown so fast, I was actually like, oh, you're going to give Kirk Cousins a minute? Like,
wait,
that's
you
fine.
think that was fast?
Yeah.
I think they executed as best as they could.
I mean, I think
wasted
so,
the first 2 plays. They had to score a 3rd down. It's, you can't
yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's like that minute was a long time,
I'm with Alan on this one. I think they played that perfect. They played it exactly how I would have wanted the Falcons to play that, where it's, 2 of those, kind of BS type sneaks to drain the clock down. But yeah, I think it's too risky to let it come down to that 4th and goal, where it's literally just
right. Yeah,
play win or lose. So I mean, I'll give credit to the Saints and their offense there. Like, I think they did a hell of a job on that drive. They did as much as they possibly could have for their defense. And, they ended up getting betrayed by their defense as well in this game.
Well, they finally got a flag thrown, Like, I mean, this another issue is, like, I don't know what's going on. The Falcons are getting no holding calls. Like, none. Like these guys are getting abused.
Onyemata was getting held.
Every
was
week,
getting held.
every week they're getting abused on the defensive line, and they're not getting any calls. Like it's four.
Judon, they got Penning on one with Judon.
Yeah, but like they were doing so they call that all. They're refusing to call it all game. Then they call Jake Matthews on that screen. Like that's what pisses me off. It's like if you're gonna let him play, let him play. Like don't call that bullshit that takes a touchdown off the board. If you're gonna if you're gonna ignore clear holding all game, then just don't call holding. Don't take a touchdown off the board with your ridiculousness. That's a big red flag for these referees in this game, taking control of the game like that. Ridiculous. But the final drive, like the screen on first down, I can't believe that's even in the playbook in a 2-minute drive, like with no timeouts. It's a 1-minute drive, honestly, with no timeouts. You cannot ever attempt a screen, ever, because the downside of that is you take a tackle for a loss and you're running the clock. You can't ever call a screen on that drive. That just shows Zack Robinson's. Raheem Morris needs to overrule that play call. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you can't. That is the type of play call that's like, this is not anything that a normal offensive coordinator would ever consider running in that situation. You can't do it. I'm sorry. That was just showing how green he is as an OC, as a play caller, that he was willing to run a screen on first down. Then you get the deep shot, which, the DPI is called correctly, and that sets you up perfectly. That sets you up perfectly now with like 30 seconds, and you need 5 yards to make this a comfortable field goal for Younghoe Koo. You know how good he is from like 53 to 45. Like, he's pretty much money. And we get 3 straight deep shots. Like, and again, this is what I was talking about. Like, that first one, go for it. Absolutely. Like, that first down, Mooney has his man beat. Kirk needs to hit that throw. If you're going to throw that, you got to hit it. I'm sorry. Like, you can't take that throw, that aggressive play, and miss the throw that badly. That is not okay. But, again, the right play call, the right read, Mooney beats his man, Kirk has to have that throw. That's not a Zack Robinson problem. That was actually smart football. You take that shot. But the thing is, they kept taking that shot. The Saints were like letting them have that shot, hoping that the Falcons wouldn't be able to hit it, and that's exactly what happened. The Falcons passed up easy, short yardage opportunities when they only needed 5 yards to win the game, and it like could have easily cost them a win because of their over-aggressiveness, because of, again, Zack Robinson looking at the formation, looking at the situation, and like maybe Zack Robinson was telling Kirk to take the short throw, and Kirk just kept going after that one-on-one. I don't know. Like, we can't necessarily blame Zack Robinson for that, but
we gotta watch the film. I think all 3 plays,
but it's like
I think Cousins. Maybe. Fault.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be. Like, I mean, again, like they call a play, and it's not like Zack Robinson's yelling at Kirk to go for the one-on-one, like go for it, go. Like, no, he's calling the play, and Kirk is seeing that one-on-one, and like, this is like whatever it was though. Like, you can't just like after you win incomplete twice on that third down, you have to get 5 yards. Like, maybe it's a hot take. They had 20 seconds or so. I would have just called a halfback dive and just gone don't go, take it too far. Go try to get 5 yards and go down and then spike it. And you probably have 5 seconds.
No, you can't spike it because then it's 4th down.
Yeah, but you're going to kick the field goal. Oh, well,
no,
I thought that was second down.
On a 4th down.
Well, that was
maybe you could do it on second, but you couldn't do it on 3rd down.
Well, yeah, I meant like that third
down there. Oh, yeah. 2nd down. Okay.
Yeah, the 2nd down. Yeah.
After the first deep shot. Yeah.
After the first deep shot, but
or like some short play. Like we see it with teams all the time. They go near the sidelines there, quick little 5-yard out route. If it's not there, you have a second read check down somewhere, and something safe, something small, secure, because it's situational. If the Falcons were down 4, take those deep shots, Kirk. Like let that shit ride. But you were down 1. Like it's just.
And you had time to clock it. Like that's the thing. Like Pitts was open multiple times on first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They passed up that.
He could have got 8 or 10 yards. Yeah, I think that's more on Cousins. Like we don't fully know, but right. I think that drive was more on Cousins than Robinson.
100%. And also, like, you do have more than enough time because we've seen teams go 25 yards downfield, and we've seen offenses line up and clock it within like 6 seconds.
Yeah,
downfield. Here it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. You have more than enough time to line up and to clock it whenever you want at that point. And then you send out the field goal unit, and Younghoe Koo doesn't have to kick a career long, because if Younghoe Koo misses that kick, which would have been perfectly understandable had he not nailed a 58-yard field goal. Like, I'm not going to sit here and expect my kicker to hit a 58-yard field goal. Like, that's a bit much.
Yeah. You got to get 5 yards. Yeah.
Had he missed that kick, like, this conversation that we're having right now is a lot
Very
more
different.
venomous.
Totally different.
Yeah, so like we have to give Koo all the flowers. We have to give the special teams in general all the flowers. Kaderil Hodge, falling, like, Rashid Shaheed shout out for muffing that punt. Kaderil Hodge comes up with it. Like, Troy Anderson, this was his arrival game. Like, I've been waiting for this.
Oh yeah, well,
like,
I'll get to that.
Yeah, and like, we should start giving some praise probably now. I want to get to some donations here real quick before we dive into the defense.
Can I give my defense for the offense?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, because Adnan was making great points before about the penalties, and this is pretty much my defense of the offense. I think the self-inflicted mistakes were far more impactful than anything Zack Robinson did. Let's look at Bergeron, 15-yard face mask, complete derails the drive. It was a second down too, so second and 25. Completely ruins it. Like, he yanked Chase Young. It was kind of like what Chris Lindstrom did to Chris Jones the previous week. I don't know, getting too grabby. Ray McLeod falls on interception. I just think that's unfortunate than anything else. Maybe
I think he was trying to dirt it. I think Kirk was trying to dirt that. Yeah.
But yeah. So to me, that's just unfortunate. Jake Matthews, okay, we don't agree with the whole, but he still did it, and then he gets beat by Payne Turner. Completely destroys the drive. Ryan Newsel, the false start on 4th and 1. Like, to me, the Falcons put together several good drives in this game. It's just self-inflicted mistakes. I think Drake London had a bad OPI where, it's pretty easy to run a rub route these days. I don't know why he got grabby in that moment, but that also affected the drive. So I just think penalties were far more problematic than I think anything. But look, don't get me wrong, Zack Robinson disagreed. We already got into it, indefensible. And that screen to Mooney, I don't know if Cousins checked at the line of scrimmage. Someone mentioned that. Maybe got to watch it again, but it's hard for us to tell. I just think the Falcons put together more than enough drives to score points. It's just those little moments completely irrelevant. But I think there's more than enough evidence. Like, to me, Cousins played really well outside the final drive. I think Cousins actually looked more comfortable than he ever did this season over the span of 4 quarters. It's just the final drive really couldn't have handled it worse. And Algier had a great game. London was doing his thing. The pass protection, like, Carl Granderson's one of the better edge rushers in the league. Storm Norton shut him down. Like, huge credit to Storm Norton, who I thought at one point was one of the worst offensive tackles in the league. So I think there's a lot of good to take out of this offense. It's just the self-inflicted mistakes.
They're playing badly. That's
my counter argument.
Yeah. They're playing badly, in part because of execution, in part because of the play calling. Like, and like, I do think, like, the difference between this offense and like last year's offense is, and I've said this before, like, with Zack Robinson, I think there's reason to believe that he can grow. This is his first year ever as an OC. I think it would be silly to think, like, I mean, you could see it week 1 to week 2, completely different offense, right? But they got to start growing, like, immediately, because they can't get away with this any longer. Like, they were so fortunate to get this win. Again, it buys them more breathing room, right? Like, because the defense is doing just enough every week, and the special team stepped up this week. Like, they were able to get out of that game with a win that they absolutely had to have. But, like, they can't keep playing this game on offense. Like, somebody's got to step up and like, it really I mean, it has to be Kirk and it has to be Zack Robinson. Like, I think the skill position guys are getting open. And Kirk needs to find him, and Robinson needs to stop hurting this offense with his situational play calling. Like, it's pretty rough.
You don't think the penalties ruined more of the drives? Like,
I mean, the penalties ruined a lot. Yeah, I mean, the 2 snap infractions both killed drives. Like, there's no doubt about that. Now, maybe there would have been like a 4th down call on that 4th, down, like that 4th and 1 that would have infuriated us. Who knows? I'm not gonna assume that would have happened though. So I'm not gonna like ding Robinson for a hypothetical like that. But I think there's a lot. There's a lot of blame to go around, but it's not all Robinson.
Yeah, I'm curious, Adnan, what do you think? Do you still think it's more on Robinson, or you think the self-inflicted mistakes have more of an impact? Because I fully believe it was more self-inflicted mistakes.
I mean, it was both, but the flags, like, themselves, like, that's still part of the offense. Like, you still can't make those mistakes on offense. you have to be smarter in between the ears, right? Like you can't. And some of those plays were just unnecessary. Like that Matthew Bergeron face mask. Well, I get it. If there's a crucial holding penalty where the old lineman gets beat, takes down the defender, and then that gets called, then it's like, okay, it is what it is. But some of those plays were just just baffling. Like the snap infractions. Ryan Newsel, I get it. Like it's your first week starting, but you've played center. You've played center in practice. You've played in camp, in preseason. It's unacceptable to have 2 snap infractions, especially in those moments. And I don't know if he was nervous or what. Like maybe that 4th down where there were some nerves, but there can't be, right? Like not in these moments. But yeah, it's a little bit of both here. Like you can't take it one way or the other. And then it's a little bit of Kirk Cousins too, especially on that last drive, the decision making. But before we move on, I do also, we were seeing some praise for the defense. I want to sing some praise for Matthew Judon on that Troy Anderson interception. He's the one that created it. He's the one that got the pressure, and he's the reason why that ball was lofted up the way it was for Troy Anderson to pick it off. And I think Troy Anderson is the guy you want most to have the ball in his hands in that situation on this defense, because man, he outran Olave on that play. He outran Paint's skill position guys. It was
Please tell me you got Deion Jones flashbacks. I was getting Deion Jones flashbacks.
Except Troy's like twice his size. He's like as fast as Deion Jones, but he's like 30 pounds heavier or something. Yeah.
Troy is an athlete. Nobody's ever doubted that. But man,
you could see the quarterback, like running back, coming in. Like as soon as he caught that ball, he was like, "Oh, here we go!" Like, all right, this is familiar.
Yeah, it was perfect form. Like beautifully tucked away. It wasn't like one of those old linemen who are running with the ball, or D linemen who are running with the ball the first time. But yeah, it was Matthew Judon. This is what I was talking about when we first signed him. Sometimes it's enough for a brilliant defensive player to make a brilliant defensive play. Sometimes, you're getting crushed, or maybe the defense as a unit is not getting the job done, or the offense as a unit isn't getting the job done. And then you sort of you call upon someone to make a brilliant play. We used to see it with the Falcons, with the old generation, with Julio Jones, right, on offense. There were some moments where the offense wasn't working, and then Julio Jones just makes a brilliant individual play. Mike Vick back in the day, but these are offensive examples. You just need your playmakers to make plays at the right moments, and that was the play for the Falcons. The tide turned after that play. It also turned because Taysom Hill, got injured. But before that, the Saints were gashing the Falcons. First 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. On that drive, they looked like they were moving the ball as well. And then from there, it feels like something completely clicked, where the defense absolutely locked in. And just shout out, had Matthew Judon done nothing the rest of the game, had he not even played a single snap the rest of the game, that was the single most impactful snap of the game by anyone.
Yeah, it's great play. I think that's one thing that I've been really happy with is like we've seen Jimmy Lake and the defense like make adjustments pretty much every game, and like the Saints started hot. Like they got those 2 touchdowns. Like it looked like this, like, oh crap, like this defense finally met its match, like can they do? And like they adjusted and they figured it out, and they really kept the Saints in check pretty much the entire game. Really, they gave up the touchdown towards the end, but the defense I think deserves a lot of credit again. But the Falcons were fortunate Taysom Hill went out because they just had no answer for him, which is ridiculous. But that's just something we have to accept, apparently, that the Falcons just can't figure out Taysom Hill. Like, it doesn't matter who the coordinator is or whatever it is. But maybe we should put in Troy Anderson as our Taysom Hill, given that we saw what he could do. If you're looking for that, if you're looking for a quarterback sneak, maybe put in the Russian quarterback from Montana State, if we can't run a quarterback sneak with Kirk, I'm just saying. But, yeah, I mean, I want to get to praising the defense here in just a second. I do want to get to some of these tips coming in. Thank you guys so much. We got Corey with 2 back-to-back for $2. Thank you, Corey. He says, is anybody still worried about Koo's preseason accuracy? Don't think so. Nope. Don't think anyone's too worried about that. And he also says, how appropriate that Jamal Williams got his face mashed into the ground to end the game.
Why would you hate on Jamal Williams? Come on.
I mean, he was a part of the fake victory formation.
The fake kneel down.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So
I know Jamal Williams from the amazing post-game interview from the Lions-Packers game. That's how I remember Jamal Williams.
Yeah, well, now he's an enemy.
Yeah, now he's the enemy. I loved Jamal Williams before he went to New Orleans. So, yeah, we got Scatman with the $10. Thanks. He says, good win, but I'm already over this DQ-style defense and allowing Olave to line up with D. Alford constantly. Reminds me when they refused to move Trufant to the other side of the field. Why? Yeah, I mean, D. Alford's definitely something we're going to talk about because he's the biggest liability in the secondary. And it's pretty clear that teams are just going after him every week now. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but he has not adjusted to the scheme change well at all. He doesn't seem like he knows where to go. He's leaving guys wide open a lot. I feel bad because I love D. Alford, but he seems like he's having the roughest time transitioning to this new scheme. And, Antonio Hamilton's healthy now, so I wonder how much more rope they're going to give D. Alford before they consider pulling him. Because it's
Kevin, when's the Mike Hughes segment?
Did Mike Hughes get I'm just gonna Mike Hughes, just go keep doing your thing, buddy. Keep doing your the best tackler on the team. I mean, he knew exactly when to do the big hit too. That was the best time to do it. He was like, oh yeah, this guy has no chance in hell of getting past this. Just laid him out. Tremendous stuff there for Mike.
That was Kamara too.
Yeah, laid out Kamara. Had that huge open field tackle. Was it on Juwan Johnson?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was where it was that third down where if he had gotten enough yardage, then the Saints could have maybe thought about going for it on fourth down. But no, Mike Hughes met him first, stopped him for, I think it looked like a 3 or 4 yard gain. And then boom, they punted away. Mike Hughes has been a revelation.
Yeah,
He's been wonderful. Maybe Jerry Gray knew more than us, after all.
Yeah. No, I mean, Alford did have a great redemption play. Obviously, had that PBU that was critical. That was a great play.
I will say, I don't think Shaheed gets both feet in, but
still big
for Alford for breaking the play up. He wanted the catch point. Yeah,
I like the call to bring the house on that play as well.
Yeah,
because Derek Carr had been picking the team apart at that point. I think at one point he had 13 or 14 straight passes completed in the second half. And that was one where it's he's proven that he will dissect you with time. Don't give him time. Just bring the house. And if he beats you, he beats you. It is what it is.
They did that two plays beforehand with Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis got a clean shot and it prevented. I think it was not Carr was trying to hit Shaheed in the back corner and he couldn't throw it accurately.
Yeah,
and it worked.
Absolutely. Yeah. It did. Yeah. So and then obviously the Saints did get one on the blitz later, good adjustment by Clint Kubiak, but the Falcons, I think, got what they needed out of the blitz packages this week. We got Ian McCluskey with a $5. Thank you. Says, I think Zach could be a really good play caller down the road, but I think it's clear that he needs a veteran presence in that booth on game days. I agree. I guess I hoped that Raheem would be able to help him more with that, but Raheem's on the sideline and Zach's up in the booth, so that's not really a thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be wise to get him some help. I mean, he does have some veteran coaches up there with him, but yeah, I think that's his biggest issue right now is he's just not stringing drives together, and there's some situational issues. But again, I can forgive taking shots when the play was actually smart. Like that final drive was infuriating and wrong, but it actually was the right in a vacuum situation. You're just take the game situation out of it. That's a play that you go for almost every time. 1-on-1 on the outside, without safety help. In a situation where you feel confident your guy's going to win, which Darnell Mooney did win 2 out of 3 of those plays if Kirk had put that throw on the money. You go for that pass, in any other situation. It was just this end of game situation, you can't go for it. Is that Zach's fault or Kirk's fault? You decide. I mean, you have to split the blame between them. It's not like it's just Zach's fault there, but it's frustrating because they needed 5 yards. Thankfully, Younghoe Koo didn't need 5 yards, so maybe it was okay. Maybe they just had total confidence in Koo, which, I mean, if I'm confident in anyone on this team, it's probably Younghoe Koo. So If I'm like sweating it out and believe in anyone, it's probably him. It's like game on the line. Who do you trust to win? Probably Younghoe Koo. Yeah, people are like, oh, Bijan Robinson, Drake. No, Younghoe Koo. Yeah,
Jesse Bates. Yeah.
give him Younghoe Koo. Yeah, but Brandon with the $2 says, just want to shout out Ryan Williams from Alabama for doing the dirty bird after the touchdown. Yeah, I think he wants to play for the Falcons. I would be okay with that. I'd be all right with that if he wants to come to Atlanta. We got Mikhail 2K3 with the $2. Who that? We that. Rise up, baby. Yeah, let's go. Great job. George Costanza says the $2. This play calling is the reason I'm on blood pressure meds. It's just absurd how they seem to work so hard to make us so pedestrian. Yeah, I mean the offense has got to get it together, and like I don't want to take away any more time from the defense, but this win, it buys them another week to try to get this offense right. But like they're not going to be able to do this for very much longer. Like
unfortunately, 4 days to be exact.
Yeah, 4 days. Yeah. It buys them 4 more days. Like, look, if you
go against Todd Bowles too.
Yeah, if you can scrape together wins, you can get away with a lot. But like, they're not really a serious contender until this offense gets settled. Like that, they need to prove that they can score points and like not get blown out in time of possession every single game, because that's what's happened. They've lost the time of possession battle by more than 10 minutes every single week. This was the first week that they converted more than 2 third downs. So I guess that's progress. But like,
I mean, 4 of 11 is still.
It's not good, but it's more than 2.
It's like average, slightly below average.
Yeah, it's more than 2. So there's that, I guess. But
I do think some of the penalties ruined that, though. I think the Bergeron Matthews moments did affect it.
Yeah, they should have had a touchdown. They should have had a touchdown. Like
the issue is the Saints on 3rd and 4th downs converted 8 for 14. So you can't. It's hard to win against that discrepancy where you're not converting 3rd downs at enough of a clip, and the other team, just it converts more than half.
Yeah. No, to me, it's like, it's kind of wild. Like, I think Kirk Cousins is a quarterback that was known like early in his career for being like a dump off merchant, like a guy that would just go for the conservative play most of the time. And like, I feel like in Atlanta, he's just like balls to the wall. Like, I'm just going to take these deep shots. Like, I don't care. Like, just like when there's like stuff underneath that's like opening up like a lot, he just like goes for the deeper plays. It's just, it's kind of funny to me that we're watching this unfold.
He did get visibly angry at one point. I think it was the drive with Matthews where he had the penalty and then he got beat by Payton Turner. Like he was that's why after that 3rd down, not conversion, but like the 16-yard completion of London, like he was really fired up because I think he knows like this offense has all the personnel to be special. Like I think they have a great opportunity, and for them to not execute, he's got to be livid. So I think you got to be happy like he's passionate about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, it's like. There's reasons to think that it could get better. Please continue.
I also do hope that Kyle Pitts makes his way to the stadium on Thursday, because I think he got lost on the way to the Benz today. He was really nowhere to be seen.
Did you guys think that was DPI or did he fall on his own feet? I was really hard to say.
He got tripped by the opposing player, but like I don't think it was intentional tripping. I think they got their feet tangled up.
That's a customary feet tangled. Like, I don't think the ref is bailing you out on that play, unless it's like really egregious. Like the Darnell Mooney, like Alonso, that was egregious.
Yeah.
The Kyle Pitts play, that was okay.
That was like incidental contact. I mean, I think it was not intentional by the Saints player, so I don't think you call it on that. But
so I think it was a good play design. The way like Pitts had leverage to get the first down. I know people are livid with that drive. It was 3 and out, but if Pitts stays on back, like if he stays on his feet, they get at least 8 yards, if not first down. So I do think there's moments, Zack Robinson, he uses Pitts and London really well on motion. Like I think it was the first drive where they almost had the big throw downfield. At some point, Cousins and London will connect on big play downfield. They've 3 times now in the past 2 weeks they've came close. But credit to, I think it was a Debo man that had the nice pass break up the end, or maybe it was Taylor. Yeah. But at least we're seeing a lot of motion being utilized and with the best players. So once again, it hasn't came together, but there's, I think, plenty of reasons to be encouraged this offense. I don't think they're going to explode on Thursday, but hey, they can explode against the Carolina Panthers. Let's use that as a start.
Maybe.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Like you get 10 days off, you get, the mini bye after Thursday, and then you're facing a Panthers defense, which, just got shredded today by the Bengals. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that Jamar Chase touchdown,
Oh,
but
God.
that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
on the defense, like I have no like everyone on that defense who was involved in that play for Carolina deserves to get reamed in the film in the film review day on Monday. Like that was just what the hell was that? But yeah, hopefully the offense does, play better and cleans up the mistakes on Thursday because yeah, Thursday would be a hell of a game to win, man. Like
that would be nice. Yeah.
You win on Thursday, you've moved to 2-0 in the division. You have moved to 3-2. You're first in the division by way of tiebreaker. You're honoring Matt Ryan, so don't play poorly in front of Matt Ryan.
That's a great quote. That should be the pregame motto. Don't play poorly in front of Matt Ryan.
Yeah, you can't embarrass Matt Ryan.
They played poorly in front of Matt Ryan in Week 18 last year against the Saints when he was on the call. And the Saints
was he on the call? The Commanders lost too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Damn, the Falcons are 0-2 with Matt Ryan on commentary. Good thing he is now an analyst.
Yeah.
Maybe another thing that people are going to find a reason to blame Matt Ryan.
Another thing. Wow.
Yeah, not Desmond Ritter. We're going to blame Matt. No, we're not getting to another Desmond Ritter conversation.
No, we're done talking about Desmond Ritter.
He threw 3 picks in that Commanders game. But can we talk about more about Troy Anderson? Because it wasn't just the pick. Like there were several open field tackles, a couple of TFLs. Like it just seemed like he was everywhere. Like
he when he made that pick 6, I think the switch flipped for him. He was like,
yes,
I do belong here. I am ready.
Yes.
Like I've finally arrived. And then he just like, that's exactly what we've been waiting for. Just trust yourself. Don't stop and think. Just go. And he did after that pick 6. So I hope I know he got roughed up on, he should not be playing special teams. I'm sorry. Like you have no linebacker depth. You can't be playing one of your 2 starting linebackers on special teams. That is a big mistake.
I was going to say the exact same thing, Kevin. It feels like, because he's always had the athletic tools, right? But he's just always hesitated. He's always been that like step slow, excuse me. And it kind of reminded me of Duke Riley back in the day, where Duke Riley would be always sort of near the play, but he would never be fast enough to be involved in the play or to make the play. And, it's the NFL. That 1 second is everything. But even in this game, like Troy Anderson wasn't looking great before that play. And then it feels like that switch just flipped off for him. And I hope that switch flipped for the rest of his career because, that was special. Like he was running all over the place. Like he was a menace after that pick 6, and it's just a shame that he got hurt. And to get hurt on special, that's so wasteful.
Yeah, you just can't. Like he's a great special teams player. Like don't get me wrong. Like I get why you want to play him, but it's one thing when like Landman and Ellis are both healthy and you can like take more risks with that. It's weird to me to see this team claim they care so much about injuries by not playing any starters in the preseason, and then they put like their starting linebacker in on special teams, and it's like, yeah, we can't do this. Like you cannot be that cavalier with your guys when you have injuries.
Like, coach.
Yeah, you got to do better. Like I get that they want to be a great special teams unit, and like they definitely delivered in this game, but I mean, hopefully it's minor. We didn't hear much about it. He only ended up missing a handful of plays, but we'll see, because that if they have to go to JD Bertrand, and like Bertrand I think looked fine in his couple of snaps, but like it's just like they're already thin now. Luckily we'll see when Nate Landman's ready to come back. I think he could come back week 6 at the earliest, so maybe if Troy doesn't have to miss any time, they only have to weather a week without him.
He misses Nate Landman a lot too. Like
they do. Yeah,
like defensively, this defense is just getting gashed in the run game week in and week out. And that's Nate Landman's specialty. Like he is your best run defending linebacker, and I feel like that was a much more underrated loss than people sort of made it seem when we first heard that Nate Landman is going on IR, because this defense has missed him, and I can't wait to get him back, and I can't wait to have all 3 of these linebackers fully healthy, because there are going to be some looks, right? Like I think Caden Ellis talked about it during training camp. There are some looks on this defense where all 3 of those guys are on the field at the same time. They want to get their best players all on the field at the same time. And I feel like when all 3 of those guys are healthy, it'll sort of free Caden Ellis up a little bit to, maybe help the pass rush maybe they line him up on the edge in the exterior, because right now, I mean, the pass rush isn't getting home. Like the pass rush in general, I was expecting more against the Saints offense, which was missing two key offensive linemen, especially along the interior. And the Falcons had one sack all day, and that was the D. Alford sack on the dialed up blitz, which was on third down. So it hell of a play by D. Alford there, hell of a call to dial up the blitz. And of course, Matthew Judon had something better than the sack, which resulted in the pick six. But man, like the pass rush is just, I was expecting so much more from the interior pressure, especially in this one.
Other than on Yamada, I don't think really anyone played well inside. Like I will give credit to Quan Graham showing flash against the run, Zach Harrison as well. I think maybe that's why Ruka Rojo is not on the active team, because Quan Graham has actually played pretty well the last few weeks, and I think Zach Harrison, you have something there. Hey, if you want to say Ruka Rojo should be playing over Kadavius Street, okay, I'm not going to argue that.
That's where we are, I think. Yeah,
but I could agree with that. But I think Tawan Graham has definitely earned a place in the rotation, and Zach Harrison, there's something there with him. So I do want to give them credit. And I thought this was on Yama's best game. He was getting
thankfully
started getting going. Yeah.
But I like they just really, like, the second I was like, man, I'm getting worried about, David Onyemata, like in our Falcoholic chat. And then it was like, he had a good game. So I was like, okay, good. I was worried because I love David Onyemata. So, what
about your guy though? The guy you're wearing your jersey, he had a very quiet game.
Yeah. I mean, look, like I am not afraid to say that the interior defensive line has been the most disappointing unit on the entire team. Like they have been ineffective and basically quiet since week one. Jared had a great week one, not really much sense. Onyemata finally seems to be heating up a bit, but like they need so much more from the interior. They were gonna lean on that group. They had the depth, they had the starters, it all looked great. They are ineffective completely. Like they are doing very little, even against backup offensive lines at this point. Now, like they've also played some great interiors. They played Kansas City, maybe the best interior trio in the NFL. The Eagles have a great interior group.
Steelers are improving.
The Steelers are improving, and the Saints had a bad one and they didn't take advantage of that, so that was a problem. But that it's the most disappointing group on the entire team. I think they absolutely have to have those guys playing better. Now, I also think I didn't mind them playing Kentavious Street early in the season because he had a great preseason and we know that he's a capable guy. But I think it's time to see Rook. I think Street has not given you anything. So you got to get, get your young second round pick in you don't need to hold him out of the game for Kentavious Street. I'm sorry. Kentavious Street, good depth guy, happy he's on the roster. But they were playing Street at nose tackle. What are you doing? He's what? Why? Why is Eddie Goldman here if you're going to put Kentavious Street at nose tackle? Because can he only play 2 plays a game? No, you need to not do that. Rook is a good run defender. They're having run defense issues. Rook should be playing over Kentavious Street. I mean, I get that maybe you don't trust him as a pass rusher, but at least he has juice. He does have a lot of juice. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing with his hands as a pass rusher, but he's got juice, so it could be worse.
That's something, yeah.
He's got juice, so I think we're going to see Rook next week. That would be my guess.
Or maybe after bye. I don't know if they're going to play on a short week, but who knows? But also, I don't see Caden Ellis making the same amount of impact plays. It just seems like Ellis and Onyemata were such huge different makers, along with Landman, for that run defense last year. And even though Onyemata played better, I also thought he showed some flashes against the Chiefs. The first 2 weeks, he was non-existent. But I think just Onyemata and Ellis have to get back to their form for this run defense to improve. And I also think not being able to play, so they're not really playing base defense right now because they don't have any other linebackers in their roster. So this bear front they're doing. So it's Onyemata, Jarrett, and then Goldman inside, and then the edge defenders are Judon and mostly Lorenzo Carter, who's really not offering anything at this point. And I just think that bear front, it's not working.
It's not. I don't know if they need to go 4-3 with Zach Harrison on the edge as a big end. I think. But then
who do you put in the linebacker slot? Who's the strong side? Lorenzo Carter, Epiketti?
James Smith-Williams. Let's go.
Ooh,
James Smith Williams needs to be starting. I'm sorry. I feel like he plays a handful of snaps. He's at least doing something. Lorenzo Carter's not doing a damn thing. I'm sorry. It's disappointing. This is by far his worst season. He's been in his entire career, he's been a serviceable, fringe starting level edge rusher throughout his career. and he's got the athletic talent. He's flexible, but like he's not doing anything. He's not really making any impact plays. He's got a couple pressures, but like James Smith-Williams is so smart against the run. Like I feel like he's always in the right position. He knows how to string stuff out as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Like I think we got to see more James Smith-Williams, and like also Zach Harrison as a big end. Let's see more of that, and like Rook needs to get on the field. Like we need to start deactivating Kentavious Street because like I don't think Street's a bad player, but I think like at this point he's not giving you enough to keep your second round pick on the bench. Like even for just PR, like there's not like what is Kentavious Street giving you that you don't think Rook can? Like honestly, like I mean Street's probably a better pass rusher at this point, but like you need to stop the run. Like if you could stop the run, then maybe it wouldn't matter so much. But like I get them. It's just like, you traded up for this guy, and you're playing like a fringe 53-man roster candidate and Kentavious Street over him. Yeah. And it's like, we need to see Rook now. Like, we need some kind of boost to this interior that's underperforming. What better option than getting your second-round pick out there? Pull him in,
Dude, Kamara had so many easy yards. They were just running a counter play all the time. Like, anytime he
wide
made
open.
a cut, it was like 8-10 yards.
Yes,
I was like, oh.
no resistance. And like, they're like, the linebackers aren't filling. It's pretty damn hard to fill when the hole is like 5 yards wide. Like, it's not like you can just throw your head in there. Like, Kamara's too good for that. You can't just give him an open hole to run through and then expect your linebacker to make tackles. Like, I mean, yeah, like sometimes make a tackle, but like, he's lethal in that situation. He makes one cut. Like if your linebacker's not on point, you're screwed. So yeah, I mean I do think like obviously whenever Landman comes back, hopefully sooner rather than later, that'll help a lot. Yeah, that'll help a lot. And it'll give Caden Ellis more opportunities to just play strong side linebacker, just line up outside. I think that's what they really wanted to do, and they just haven't been able to much. That'll help. But like, look, the defense is like, I just can't hate them. I can't hate on the defense at all. It's like you just get left out to dry by your offense. Every single game, you're playing 40-plus minutes of football while your offense just sits there pissing the game away over and over again. And they just keep going out there and giving them chances over and over and over again. They come in clutch. They make plays when they have to. It's not pretty like 99% of the time. They're like, in order to like prevent these offenses from taking off, they're playing soft coverage. They're sitting back in that too high shell. And like, it's pretty ugly. They're giving up a lot of free completions. D. Alfred's getting his lunch taken like every single snap, it seems like, by these short passes. He just seems to be confused about where to go in this zone a lot of the time. Hopefully that can get better. Like, but even so, like the way that they're lined up in coverage, they're just giving up short stuff. It's frustrating to watch. Yeah, but they're not giving up big plays for the most part. And like,
other than George Pickens, you can't name an explosive play they've allowed.
No, like they fixed that. Yeah.
The defense also, let's be objective. They should have finished this game having given up 17 points.
Yeah.
And that's after giving up 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives. So they locked in. They locked in and scored more points than they gave up after that, because the defense did, after that 4th down stop where D. Alford, had the pass defense in the end zone. That should have been it. Like the defense should have, it should have been job well done. You gave the ball back to the offense, and then the offense, you have to salt that game away. Like I'm sorry, there is no
go kick a field goal and end the game. Yeah, like
you don't even need a field goal. Like you were up 6, you just need 2 first downs. You have to salt the game away. The defense did exactly what they should have. They did everything that was asked of them, and then the offense left them out to dry again. 3 and out, give the ball back, and sure, the defense gave up the touchdown on that last drive, but man, they shouldn't have even been out there on that last drive.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
This just goes back, the conversation goes back to the offense more than anything. Not just today, but on the whole of the season, because I feel like the defense has not lost you a single one of these games. The defense has played well enough. The defense has played well enough to be 4-0 right now. Had you told me that the defense would be doing exactly what they have so far, I would have guessed, the Falcons are undefeated.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not the case. But yeah, like the defense, it's frustrating. It's
It is.
frustrating seeing
Yeah.
the Elephant get cooked. It's frustrating seeing the lack of pressure along the interior. It is frustrating seeing other teams run all over you. But at the end of the day, it's not resulting in as many points as you would expect. And the scoring defense is doing enough to win you these games.
Yeah.
To me, the worst defensive performances in one of their wins. Like I thought the Eagles game was, I don't know easily, but I think it was arguably their worst performance considering the missed tackles, Saquon running wild, Jalen Hurts looking like prime Cam Newton. Like they were fine coverage wise, but the Eagles were limited there. But I thought besides the Eagles game, defense has been pretty formidable.
Yeah, they have. Like they're definitely playing bend but don't break, and I get people don't like watching that, and they're giving up all these free catches. But like, you have to look at the results, and like they're limiting the deep passing game. They're doing enough. If the run defense was better, I feel like this would be a much better defense overall. Like they would be really in content. The one weakness they have is that they're just not stopping the run well enough, and it's giving like I think the philosophy of the defense is good. They're willing to give up a 5-yard out, right? They're willing to give up that 5-yard out up until third down, and then like I think the idea was like we're good against the run. We could just like stuff teams on the ground, and then make them take these short dump offs, and we're just gonna rally and tackle, and that's how we're gonna do this thing. And that doesn't work against the Eagles, and we saw that because the Eagles will just go for it on every single 4th and 1 or 4th and short and get it because they can, because they're the Eagles. But like against a lot of teams, they can't do that as reliably, and it's worked out well. But like if you stop the run better, I think that fixes so many of your issues on defense. And hopefully, this is the sign of like Alford finished strong in this game. Obviously, didn't do great on that final drive, but like. We need Alford to step up, or we need somebody else at the slot. Because I think other than that, like we need Nate Lamb back. We need the interior to start playing like they're capable of. And then we need our slot corner to start making some plays. And if they get that, this could be a really, really good defense. They're not all the way there yet, but I mean, I think they've been by far the most reliable part of this team.
Because if you stop the run, at least helps you put the opponents in third and long situations. And with the way this defense is constructed, I think they're both to get those stops on third down with the safety alignment. Terrell is doing his thing. So I think just playing better run defense, you get those third longs, you could potentially even create more blitz opportunities. So it's just that's the way to build. Because when you look at that Rams defense last year, like it was like you had Aaron Donald, you had Ernest Jones, and just a bunch of other guys, and like they did very well to get the most out of that secondary. Like Akilla Weathers was a very limited corner, and it was like his best year. And it's kind of like what Mike Hughes is doing right now. Like they know how to coach up defensive backs, this coaching staff. So it's just you trust them to limit those explosive plays, but you got to get them in third and long. So and right now they're just not getting teams in third and long. So I also want to mention about this. What's concerning about this Bucs game is that the Bucs love putting Chris Godwin in the slot, and that could be very troubling given the Alford struggles. Like
they need to have some kind of answer there.
Plan.
Yeah,
we know
Alford's got to step up. Like if he gets cooked by Chris Godwin, we're probably seeing Antonio Hamilton sooner rather than later. So, I love G. Alford. I really want him to get it together. So I still hope that he will. But they signed Antonio Hamilton for a reason. He's healthy now. He's waiting in the wings if D. Alford doesn't start getting this together.
And what do you think of D. Alford?
On the other side, you have Evans against Terrell, which
that hasn't gone well for the Falcons in the past.
This is very true.
Yeah.
The Bucs look pretty good. Bucky Irving looks like he's reinvigorating their run game, which I was hoping that. I'm happy as a Bucky Irving fantasy owner, but I was hoping that they would at least be, still rolling with Rachaad White up to this point, because Rachaad on the ground is statistically maybe the worst running back in the NFL when it comes to pure run plays. But I don't know, it seems like they have something cooking right now with Bucky doing the run game and then Rachaad White doing in pass protection and as a pass catcher. So, they have a few days to figure it out. Only 4 technically, but hopefully they come out and hopefully they're helped by the offense a little more as well.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Let me get to the rest of these donations here. I know we got quite a few. Thank you guys so much for those. We got Ed with the $5. Proud Asian Falcons fan tonight, but tough to convert the boys here to tap into the NFL when I'm promoting the NFL's stiffest offense. Shout out to Troy Anderson, though. Yeah, I mean, they need to get it together. Like this, like they're not gonna. This is not sustainable. Like I'm glad they're 2-2. This is what we said they needed to do. They got the win they desperately needed. They beat the Saints. They checked all the boxes with this win, but like the offense has to come together like immediately. They're not going to be able to. This is not winning football like long term. Like this is the first month of the season. A lot of teams are sloppy. A lot of teams are finding themselves. We need to find ourselves an offense immediately. Like, and if they can do that, this team is going to be pretty good because we've seen that the defense is not going to be an issue and the special teams is great. So we just need the offense to like score a touchdown occasionally. Like the 1 to 2 a game would be enough, maybe. I mean, given that they're winning this game with like 3 field goals.
Higher hopes, man.
Right now, I would take a few touchdowns a game, and that would be enough for this team to win. So we're getting there, but yeah, I think Zack Robinson, he's learning. We're getting there, but yeah, we gotta find it somewhere. We gotta find some offensive production.
2 touchdowns in 2 games isn't enough.
Not enough at all. We got Moonstar with the $5. What's up? He says, felt like this was a decent offensive performance derailed by penalties. Hopefully we can get our execution down by Thursday against the Bucs. Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. It's what we need to see. We got Jason Gaines, the $2. He says, shout out to Koo for the game-winning 58-yard field goal. Newsel should not have been called for a snap infraction on the screen pass TG to Bijan. I don't think that was on Newsel. That was actually on Matthews.
He's getting penalties mixed up.
Yeah, there's too many of them. Can't keep them straight. Yeah. Also, Fox Sports needs to stop having ex-Saints linebacker Jonathan Vilma calling this rivalry game. Yeah. No, it was ridiculous in this one. Like, Vilma just started, like, I mean, like, they got to do better. Like, the announcers have been shitting on the Falcons in, like, every single game this season, except week 1, maybe. It's just like, you got to do better. Like, it's like every game we're getting this now. Like,
well, we're getting primetime games. Like, what's Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit going to do? Are you guys confident Al Michaels with his zero enthusiasm? And I don't know what you make of Kirk Herbstreit.
Al Michaels doesn't even know where he is half the time. Like at this point, Al Michaels is just, I get it, he's a living legend in the booth.
Yes.
Man, it's time. It's time to hang it up. It's not like I was watching him on that Cowboys game, and it was just hard to listen to. Reminded me of Marv Albert in his last year calling NBA games on TNT, and it's like I get it. Prime wants that big name, but man, you guys couldn't have shelled out money for Mike Tirico or something. Like you know, it's been rough. It's been rough so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough there. We got George Costanza with the $2. He says it's been 32 games since Kyle Pitts has had 100 yards in a game. Can we just call a spade and realize he isn't who he is supposed to be? I was the one pounding the table for Pitts, but it's not working out. I don't know what his free agent market is. I said he was like Selleck, but he's worse. I mean, Kyle Pitts has been open and has not been getting the ball. Like, I will say that, but like also like it's not like he's been playing great either. So like, we need more from Kyle Pitts. There's no doubt about it. Like at this point, he's obviously like in bust territory if he doesn't get it together this year. So
if Kyle Pitts doesn't have that one catch, it was a great catch last week against the Chiefs. If he doesn't have that one catch, we're talking about a guy that is averaging 15 yards a game this season.
He's basically Charlie Werner, but he can't block.
Yeah. So with one outlier play, and yeah, it was a great play. You know, great flash. You know, it looked like the unicorn, but outside of that one play, it's 0 catches today. Like you know, it's
like they threw a slant to him, and Marshawn Lattimore looked more willing to catch the pass than him. Like just times with him, he just shows bad body language. So
I mean, look, we should be concerned about Kyle Pitts. I think that's clear. And like pretty soon, if he's not providing much, they need to just swap him out for Charlie Werner because at least Werner can block. Like, I mean, like we're not getting anything from tight end right now. We need to be getting something, and at least Charlie Werner gives you blocking. So, obviously 4 games in, a lot can change, but it's extremely disappointing so far. He's like very much like the 5th or 6th passing game option. It's clear. So if he can't block, then I don't know what he's doing. Honestly, I'm not sure what he's doing out there. So, we need more. No doubt about it. JM Huddle with the $5. Thank you. He says, does the game ball go to Troy Boy or Koo? I mean, you got to give it to Koo, but like maybe like Koo can like hold it and like Troy can put his hands on it and they can take a picture and they could like share it. But yeah,
there's like 10 game balls, guys. Like give Troy Anderson his touchdown ball. Like you know that belongs to him, and then give Younghoe Koo the ball that he kicked through the uprights.
Yeah, exactly. We got George Costanza with $2. He says, why are we not lining up Pitts in the slot? He's built like a creative player, but all the attributes are 40. He should be running up the seam or sitting down in zone. This isn't rocket surgery or brain states. I agree. I think asking Kyle Pitts to run slants and stuff all day is not really his game. Like we saw in 2021, his game. Like, let him use his long strides to catch deep passes and abuse linebackers and stuff like that. They're not really doing that. They're kind of asking him to run short stuff. They're having him run like dump offs and like having him run slants and short crossers and all that. Like, he's not really that type of guy. I don't think they're really utilizing him well. I feel like Zack Robinson doesn't exactly know what to do with Kyle Pitts. He's just kind of using him as a tight end, and he's a receiver, and we know he's a receiver. So I don't know if it would be helpful to just make him a slot receiver, and maybe he would like draw, like, what can Pitts get some like Ray McLeod routes? Like, what could he do with some of these opportunities? You know, I mean, I don't know. They're not the same type of player, but it's just like they're. I feel like Zack Robinson expects that tight end and that 11 personnel to be like a dump off guy and like a blocker, and that's not really Kyle Pitts at all. So if they're not going to be able to deploy him any differently than that, I'm not really sure that he has a future in Atlanta. Like, I don't think that's that they're not utilizing him. Like, that he's a receiver, and they're using him like a inline tight end essentially, when he's not a good inline tight end. So it's just frustrating. I think he has a role in the NFL. I think a smart team like the Chiefs could probably make Kyle Pitts a 1,000-yard receiver right now, but Zack Robinson doesn't know what to do with him, and it's unfortunate. We got Adrian Russ with the $2. Says, my heart can't take this much longer. UGA almost came back last night. Then I had to watch the Falcons almost lose. However, I'm tired of watching the defense bail out this team. The OC and Cousins are on fraud watch. Not a single touchdown on offense. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're on fraud watch. I think they're on like frustration watch, right? Like we need more from them. They're clearly still finding their footing. Like, Kirk is just not seeing the field clearly right now. He's passing up open guys. Like, I think he's struggling to get through all the progressions, and even when he's protected, he's not finding the open guys sometimes. I think it's still very much like a work in progress, and it's frustrating. But if you can find ways to win ugly, then you buy yourself more time. And I think, like, if the Falcons could just survive for a few more weeks, get through this next stretch, like win a couple more games, whatever, I think at some point this offense is going to wake up. Like, I think it will. And then this team will be really dangerous. They just have to like get there without falling apart and without losing a bunch of games that they have to dig themselves out of. I think, like, again, we said it earlier, but like 2-2 right now. And I know George's next question is saying this, like the saving grace. We're 2-2 after 4 weeks, and we haven't played well on offense. So like, that's the thing. Like, they're 2-2. They haven't played their best ball, but because they're 2-2, they bought themselves plenty of wiggle room still. Like, they had to have this game, and they got it. So they're in a better position than they could be. But we need the offense to wake up sooner or later. Yeah, George Costanza says, I do think they can get better as the year goes on. We've been buoyed by some lucky bounces. Yeah, I mean, that was nice. We got screwed by bad luck last week, right, with that officiating. So it's nice to have some bounce our way in these 2 wins. We got Furball with the $5. Says, so when you saw the Saints score at the end, did you think it was over? I was just wondering what was going through your mind in that moment. Yeah, I thought they lost the game on that play. I did have some faith because there was a minute left. Like, this offense getting a field goal, not that crazy. They were doing it all game. You know, they were able to get field goals. That wasn't the issue. So I was like, okay, maybe they'll be okay. But yeah, I did think that they had lost after the Saints scored. I was feeling pretty bad.
Oh, wow. Okay. How about you, Adnan?
No, I thought I was 50-50, but I thought there was a good chance that they were going to go downfield and that they were going to get the field goal. However, after the screen pass and then the 10-second runoff, that's where I'm like, okay, they screwed themselves.
It went from like 65% to 30%. It's like, oh, they just lost 29 seconds on one play. Oh,
yep.
Man.
Yep. We got Dudley De Niro with the $5. Says, is Kyle Pitts cooked? Is he not getting looks in this offense? I'm concerned about the deployment of our big time players. I think, like, honestly, it's like Pitts is a guy that, like, you need an actual plan developed for him. You can't just like slot him in to your tight end spot on your offense and call it a day, because like he doesn't do the traditional tight end stuff very well. He's not a guy that's going to go absorb big hits over the middle and run like slants and short crossers and that type of stuff. It's just, he's very pedestrian in that role. Like, Charlie Werner can do that probably better than Pitts can. And Charlie Werner's a good blocker. So it's like, I I just think it's really bizarre. Like they just, it's clear that they just didn't really come up with a role for him. Like that they're not really doing anything interesting or exciting with Kyle Pitts. Now maybe that's just a factor of like this offense is just still very much finding its footing, and they're kind of just like, we need to get the basics done before we like unlock our hard to use like special players like Kyle Pitts that you kind of have to have like a little bit of a special role for. Like maybe this is just them like, we need to just get something done, so we're gonna do basic looking offense. I can't really figure out Kyle Pitts right now. But yeah, I we need more from Pitts. J-Wall TV asks, does Kirk not trust Pitts? I mean, I don't think it's that. I just think that this is just, they're not deploying him in a way that's really taking advantage of his skill set at this stage.
At the same time, it is a bit, not perplexing, but an eye-opener that Cousins clearly trusts Ray McLeod. He
Way
trusts
more.
London than Pitts, yeah. And I don't know, would you guys say London's Cousins is forcing the ball a little too much to London? Obviously, we want to see Drake London get the targets. He's a phenomenal talent, but I think there's been a couple instances where baby Cousins was too fixated on London. I don't know if
Yeah.
what do you think?
He had 12 targets today. I kind of felt it a little bit even in the weeks before. Like during camp, it felt like Cousins was going to spread it around, but it's sort of different, right? When you're not facing the pressure like that, and when it's just 7-on-7s, then you can spread the ball around all you want. But yeah, I feel like Cousins, I feel it may be habits back from Minnesota, right? Where he sort of locked in on Justin Jefferson a lot with the Vikings. And now it's, he's sort of locking in on his first read, which is Drake London a lot more. And he's not seeing as much of the field, but maybe it could also be he doesn't fully trust himself yet. And he's trying to get the ball out a bit quicker to not risk those hits.
Yeah. I agree. I think like Kirk deserves some blame for this, because I don't think he's like efficiently processing and getting the ball out. Like I think he's still very much in like the feeling out stage of this offense too. And it's like, I think there's a lot of contributions here to like what's going on. And it's like Zack Robinson is still growing as an offensive play caller. Kirk Cousins is still getting settled in this offense and getting back to playing football after missing most of a season. There's a lot that needs to continue to grow, but like, I think some of this stuff is stuff that will come. Hopefully, they just don't have a lot more time. Like, we're 4 weeks in now that we're getting into October football. It's like there's less room for error now. Like your teams are starting to get it together. Offenses aren't as sloppy. Teams are starting to get tape on everybody. So like it's time for this offense to get it together. They need to do it this week against the Bucs. Now they do have the benefit, obviously, of it being a short week and it's in their home stadium. That is a big boost, obviously, to the team hosting Thursday Night Football. But the offense has to carry their weight. They can't like get bailed out every single week. It's not winning football. So we need to see that happen. We got George Costanza with another $2. He says, if Pitts was a 5th rounder, he'd already have been released. We've made excuses for him for years now. Oof. Time to shit or get off the pot. He's an investment that has not paid dividends. Yeah, I mean, outside of 2021, where he looked the part, what did Pitts do in 2021? Go watch that tape. Make him do that. I don't think it's complicated, but teams, they refuse to do it. Like, why isn't he running like stuff over the middle deep every play? Like that, you're going to make that running back carry him, like get him out of the box. They're just not doing it. Like they just like, it's all deep shots to the outside. Like, I mean, I don't think, for whatever reason, he's like perplexing to call plays for pretty much everyone other than Dirk Cutter or like, Arthur Smith figured it out for one season, and then he forgot and made him play like a traditional tight end. Like, I think if we just took tight end off his name and made him wide receiver, he'd have had a much better NFL career. But unfortunately,
you could have also just Jamar Chase if you wanted a wide receiver.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the other side of the coin, So it's just, I think he needs like
Penalties
Pitts-
would have been nice. Ooh.
Yeah. Pitts needs
that
help.
was a hell of a draft class.
All right, let's. Hey man, we're trying to. This supposed to be running this on a down though. Come on, they just beat the Saints.
Yeah, we're not doing that. They did beat the Saints.
Yeah.
We got Sour Pickle with the $5. Says D-line was a little brutal and the offense is borderline boredom, but hope it changes soon. Yeah, they are 2-2. So don't forget that.
Boredom is harsh. Did you watch Bijan and Algier? Yeah, I know Bijan not much running the ball, but that play where he broke the tackle off Matthew, that was a fantastic play. They went for 30 yards.
Yeah.
So this offense still shows plenty of flashes. I think people are really overreacting to this offense being boring. Like you see Mooney, who I think Mooney's fantastic. What addition he's had. So like I think this offense has plenty of firepower. It's just they got to clean up these mistakes, and Zack Robinson's got to put together a cohesive game plan.
They do, and they're working on it. I mean,
they're not boring.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think frustrating is a better word than boring. Yeah. Like having that Bijan screen wiped off, like that is not the offense's fault. Yeah. Like
last year was boring.
Yeah, last year was boring. This year they're not boring. They're just insanely frustrating, and like they're vulnerable to bad officiating ruining everything. Like that, This is not an offense that can overcome that right now. We saw it against the Chiefs, and we saw it again against the Saints. They're lucky to have gotten, the win here. It's tough. We got George.
Go ahead. What would you rather watch? Short passes designed to Jonnu Smith or vertical shots to Darnell Mooney? At least this team is being more proactively aggressive. We
did get some deep shots. I mean, Kirk Cousins is way better than Desmond Ridder too, so we at least have that no matter what. But we got George. George says, I ended up buying a last-second cruise out of New Orleans. There's a Halloween party on the Gulf, so I went to buy a hotel for the first night. And Taylor Swift is doing a concert that night, and it's a $700 hotel room. Damn Swifties! Yeah, I know that they didn't do. It wasn't bad enough that they came into Atlanta, like last week and just took over. No, but it does sound fun. And then we got Mahmoud Faroud with the $5 saying, "Do want to shout out the offensive line? They look solid. Penalties aside, clean pocket. Also, Algier looked more comfortable than Bijan. I mean." The offensive line blocked way better for Algier than they did.
Yeah, I was going to say. I don't know what happened. We all watched the replay, but those Bijan runs, he did not much work with it.
Bijan was getting tackled in the backfield, and Algier had just huge holes to run through. I mean, it's like, you can't, draw it up. Like, it's just, sometimes it happens like that. Like, if Bijan gets those holes, he's doing great, too. The offensive line was just not blocking well for Bijan today. But, they did block well for Algier, so that's great. It blocked well at least some of the time. But
and let's give credit to Algier. I think Algier's vision is really improved. Yeah. He's looking more patient because I think last year, not that he had a bad year last year, but it just felt at times he was running into just traffic. This year he just looks a lot more patient, and he's always improving his game, man. And I think he's just one of those good players you gotta love, but just good overall, dude.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think overall so far, Algier has been good, Bijan's been good. They need to find a way to make, right now it feels like this team has two offenses. They have the run game and they have the pass game. They're not married together well at all at this stage. They're just not. Problem. It's like they'll run the ball 3 times and then they'll pass the ball 3 times. There's not any flow. And again, I think that's part of Zack Robinson's greenness as an offensive coordinator. He just he's not stringing it together in such a way that it's making a good drive. It's good plays in a vacuum, but they don't string together well. And that, again, we're going to need that from him. So hopefully that's something that he can do it. But look, we're getting there. George, the final word here with the $2 says, so if we win the division, everyone here is down for a pickle slushy from Sonic, right? We haven't been right since Kevin whipped out on the pickle slushy. I think we found the cause for our suffering. It wasn't that bad, right, Adnan?
The aftertaste was ass. It sucked when you burped. It sucked after you burped it up. For the record, I did not wimp out on the pickle slushy.
That's right.
I followed through with it.
Yeah. No, I don't remember agreeing to do the pickle slushy, but it's possible. I mean, did I agree to do the pickle slushy? I don't think I ever agreed to do it. I think you did.
I don't remember. For whatever reason, I did. I don't know why, but
I think
but
George
I did.
Guilted you into it. Yeah, but he tried to guilt me into it, and I stood firm. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's what we're gonna call it, standing firm, huh?
Yeah, I stood firm in my convictions to not drink a pickle slushy. But it doesn't sound that terrible. So yeah, I mean, if they win the division, I'll drink a pickle slushy, George. Okay. So Falcons, you're on notice. Win the division, I'll drink a pickle slushy. I'll at least drink some of it. I can't promise I'll finish the pickle slushy, but I'll at least drink some of it. Like I'll sip on it while we're recording or something. So but yeah, guys, thank you guys for joining us. Long post game. I want to end this positively. Falcons are 2-2. They just beat the Saints. They should have beat the Chiefs. They could be 3-1. And this team has not played anywhere close to their potential. So like, they played the toughest schedule in the NFL through 4 weeks. It is going to be easier after we get past the Bucs. Now, like, it's different, right? The Cowboys game looked really intimidating. Now that game doesn't look that bad. The Vikings game looked super easy. Now that game looks really hard. Like, there's some changes, but ultimately, the Falcons do have an easier road ahead after they get through this NFC South gauntlet. They're in the position we need them to be in, right? They're 2-2 after 4 weeks. This is what we hoped for. Just go 500 through this brutal opening stretch, beat the Saints, and everything is fine. And that's where we are. So everything's still fine. Could they have looked better doing it? Yes. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how you look in the NFL as long as you win. So that's where we are. Hopefully, they'll start looking better in these wins, too, and not giving us heart attacks as the game ends. But, it's the Falcons. It's probably the only thing they're capable of. So at least if they win the heart attack games, it's better than losing them. Before we sign off today, I want to thank, of course, my co-hosts. We got Alan Strk, at Alan Strk on Twitter. Alan, anything else you want to plug before we sign off?
I'm probably going to do a staff roundtable this week because it's a short week, so we're not going to have much time to put together content. So I'm just going to do probably something a little quick. And yeah, it's quick adjustment, folks. Get a few days, rest up, and then Thursday night, we're back at it.
Yep. We also have, of course, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. Anything you want to let the people know about Adnan?
It just reminded me that we have to do all of our weekly articles a lot quicker. We have like 3 days less. Yeah, I guess I have to type up Fantasy Stud and Dud right now, apparently. And then we have What If We Win or Lose and Series History, which will be going over the next few days before the Bucs game.
Yeah. Can I ask Adnan one question? Will you make reference to the last time the Falcons and Bucs played on Thursday night?
Perhaps. You'll have to read to find out.
Good to know.
Also, I may be at that game. It depends on if my credential was accepted or not. Okay. But yeah, I need to check with Gina. So I will possibly be in the building for that game with media.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Look forward to your coverage. Hope you get.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But guys, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic. Kevin, it's a short week coming up. We got Thursday Night Football, another primetime game. So it'll be a truncated schedule. We will have, I think we're going to call it Tuesday Takes with Trayshawn, so that'll be up on Tuesday as usual. We'll have Falcoholic Live on Wednesday. I believe we are now getting Mark Ramundi. He is back. We've been trying to make it work after our first misconnection, but Mark Ramundi, I believe, will be back on Wednesday. No game preview because, again, after Wednesday's show, it's just Thursday. So we're probably going to make Wednesday's show the game preview for the most part. But yeah, join us then. We'll have an early show. Then we'll have Wednesday Night Live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Mark Ramundi. But yeah, until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Falcoholic Live. Thanks to BetOnline for sponsoring tonight's show. We'll be back next week. Enjoy the dub. The Falcons take the lead against the Saints and prevent the Saints from gaining the lead in this series. They've held them off for the entire history. Let's keep it going. Great job, guys. Good job getting the win. They had to have it. It was hella ugly, but they got it. So that's all we move. We get better, we improve, and we keep going, and hopefully this team's in a much better spot than they were last year, no doubt about it. So, but yeah, thanks guys so much. We'll see you next time on the Falcoholic Live.